Hello, Timmy Nafso here, Executive Vice President of FortisPay. We've watched peer-to-peer payment exchange become more and more prevalent over the last several years. And one of the reasons why is as cash has kind of declined in our space, in our lives, you've watched the ability for people to transfer payments or transfer money become more challenging, right? Funny stories like being on the golf course and owing somebody $22 after you're done. How do you get that money to them when nobody's carrying cash or nobody has change? So products like PayPal, Venmo, different types of transfer products were born, and people really have been utilizing them in the peer-to-peer environment. Paying a babysitter, paying a friend, being at a bar and exchanging money. One person pays the bill at a restaurant, everybody Venmos them the rest of the money. Well, as big banks started to recognize this occurring, what they noticed, like, we have to be a part of this. People already use our apps, they're already part of it. How can we be included in this and not totally fall behind? So products like Zelle are actually picking up quite a bit of steam and being used at a high level. And one issue that Zelle is having today in news is that they're actually having some fraud, and there's vulnerabilities in the system. And that fraud is extremely dangerous because when fraud occurs, the consumer, right, the user, feels as though it's not a safe system. And when it's not a safe system, they're less likely to engage with that system. So one thing that's really interesting to note here is this. The credit card companies like Visa and MasterCard and Discover and American Express, a lot of their efforts and their initiatives have come from the consumer protection portion of their space, right? Like, hey, if I use my credit card, I know that if somebody steals my card, I'm only liable for $50 as an example. Well, technically speaking, in most cases, they don't even collect that $50 from you if your card was stolen. They try to protect you to make sure your experience is great. Well, when you're using a bank account and you're hacked, it's a much different experience because you may have, checks going out, you may have a mortgage payment being pulled out, a rent payment, a car payment, cellular payment, and now your bank account has been compromised. And that's a very scary thing. So there needs to be some additional steps of security when you're dealing with peer-to-peer payments. And those steps would include items like two-step authentication, right? Making sure that you're actually confirming that you wanted this money to go through. Notifications, which not all banks utilizing Zelle offer that solution, where every time money is moved or transferred, you should get an alert. You should get an opportunity to approve that once it goes through. And companies like PayPal have been doing this for years, and they've done a very, very good job of monitoring these types of activities and making sure that they're actually notifying the consumer or the bank account holder, the PayPal holder, of what's actually occurring on their account. So that information is so important, and that is what helps drive consumer behavior, is that security and that safety. So really interesting to see how this goes, interested to see how it moves forward. Please comment below, and thanks for listening.